It is America's forgotten frontier, a coastline longer than the Atlantic and Pacific coasts combined. Territory holding immense, untapped reserves of energy and minerals, a strategic position at the top of the world bordering two oceans, the American Arctic. For over a century, the United States has been an Arctic nation, but it has been an Arctic nation in name only. Its claim to this vast, frozen territory has been underpinned by a foundation of cracking, rusting 50-year-old ice. The problem is one of catastrophic neglect. To be a true Arctic power, a nation needs one indispensable tool: the heavy icebreaker. This is the key that unlocks the region, the only instrument that allows a country to project presence, enforce its laws, conduct search and rescue, and support scientific research year-round. As of today, the United States Coast Guard, the service tasked with this monumental mission, possesses a fleet of exactly one heavy icebreaker, the USCGC Polar Star. She is a legend. But she is a legend from a bygone era, commissioned in 1976. She is a ship older than most of her own crew, a Cold War relic kept alive through cannibalized spare parts and the sheer ingenuity of her engineers. This is not a problem. It is a full-blown national security crisis unfolding in slow motion at the top of the world. While America's ice-breaking capability has withered to a single, fragile point of failure, a new, great game is exploding across the Arctic. Russia is building a dynasty of nuclear-powered titans, giants that can smash through any ice at any time. They are building armed combat icebreakers designed to militarize the new frontier. China, declaring itself a near-Arctic state, is also building its own fleet of advanced icebreakers, seeking to exploit the new trade routes opening up as the ice melts. The Arctic is no longer a frozen wasteland. It is a strategic superhighway. New shipping lanes are opening, cutting transit times between Europe and Asia by weeks. Immense wealth is becoming accessible, and in this new arena of competition, America is a spectator in its own backyard. The USCGC Polar Star, on her annual mission to resupply McMurdo Station in Antarctica, has suffered repeated, near-catastrophic engine failures, fires, and leaks, thousands of miles from the nearest friendly port. If she fails, America's year-round access to the polar regions vanishes overnight. The nation's ability to enforce its sovereignty, protect its economic interests, and even rescue its own citizens in its own Arctic territory is dependent on a single, exhausted, 50-year-old ship. The frozen frontier is being lost by default. But the story of the American Arctic is not one of final defeat. It is the story of a nation awakening, of a sleeping giant stirring to reclaim its frontier. The solution, forged from decades of warnings and a new sense of urgency, is the Polar Security Cutter program. This is not just a plan to build a new ship. It is a multi-billion-dollar national commitment to rebuilding America's polar presence for the 21st century. The lead ship of this new class, the future USCGC Polar Sentinel, and her sister ships, are designed from the keel up to be the most advanced and capable multi-mission icebreakers in the world. They represent a quantum leap in technology and capability. First, the problem of power. Each Polar Security Cutter will be powered by a massive 45,000 horsepower diesel-electric power plant, giving them the raw strength to break through ice up to 8 feet
Set
thick.
a course for the new
This is
buoy
the
to
power
port.
needed to
Aye,
operate
setting course for
anywhere
the
in
new
the
buoy.
Arctic or Antarctic at any time of year. Second, the problem of endurance. They are designed to operate for over 90 days without resupply, giving them the persistence needed for long-range patrols and complex scientific missions far from any support. Third, the problem of mission. These are not just icebreakers. They are national security assets. The cutter designation is key. Each ship will be a fully fledged Coast Guard warship, with space and weight reserved for the installation of advanced sensors, communication suites, and defensive weaponry. They will carry helicopters and unmanned systems, allowing them to project a security presence over vast areas. They will be floating laboratories for scientific research, powerful tugs for search and rescue, and the unambiguous symbols of American sovereignty at the top of the world. The proof of this renewal is no longer a blueprint. It is the steel being cut and welded in Pascagoula, Mississippi. The U.S. Coast Guard and the Department of Homeland Security have made the Polar Security Cutter their highest shipbuilding priority. The contracts are signed, the funding has been allocated, and the work has begun. Official animations and design specifications demonstrate the incredible leap forward these ships represent. We see the Polar Sentinel carving a clean channel through thick polar ice that would have stopped lesser ships dead. We see her launching a rescue helicopter in the harsh conditions of the Bering Sea. We see her deploying unmanned underwater vehicles to map the uncharted seabed and extend her sensor reach. We see her crew conducting a law enforcement boarding mission, asserting U.S. law in U.S. waters. The commitment is real. The Coast Guard is actively rebuilding its polar operational doctrine, training a new generation of ice pilots, and working with international partners like Canada and Finland to relearn the hard-won skills of polar operations. The long winter of neglect is over. The construction of these new cutters is the tangible, undeniable proof that America is back in the game. The legacy of the Polar Security Cutter program will be the restoration of American leadership in its own hemisphere. These ships are the foundation upon which a new, comprehensive Arctic strategy is being built. They will provide the persistent presence needed to protect America's natural resources, defend its homeland, and ensure that the new Arctic waterways are governed by the rule of law, not by the will of the most powerful. They are a message to the world. America's frozen frontier is no longer an afterthought. These ships will carry the nation's flag to its most remote and challenging territory, a floating testament to American resolve. They will ensure that when a crisis occurs in the American Arctic, be it an oil spill, a lost vessel, or a challenge to our sovereignty, the first ship to respond will be flying the red and white racing stripe of the United States Coast Guard. The Polar Security Cutter is more than a ship. It is the renewal of a promise. It is a commitment to the sailors, scientists, and citizens who live and work on the nation's most demanding frontier. In an era of renewed great power competition, these ships are not a luxury. They are a necessity. They are the essential tools for ensuring that America's future in the 21st century is secure, from the tropics to the poles. Share this video to support the men and women of the United States Coast Guard